right, it's 95.1 Nigeria Info, and it is Thursday. That means it's time for Body and Soul, 10:05 p.m. As a matter of fact, so we are already running behind schedule. And so we're just going to get straight into it. My guest is with me here in this. Well, he's not in the studio. I was just going to say he's in the studio. But I mean, he's here with me virtually, and I am excited to have him back on the show. We started off a very interesting conversation last week, and it is my pleasure to have Dr. Felix back here with us. Good evening, Dr. Felix. How are you doing?
Good evening, Somi. I'm fine.
All right.
Good to know you're fine too.
Yes, but you're looking better than me at this rate. I'm like, perhaps, I'm not sure if people will see both of us now and say, this doctor is looking too fresh. By this time of the day, you are looking all, and here I am looking like I've been working all day. But I guess it just means that you have a way of balancing it out, and well done on that.
Thank you.
Yes.
You.
All right. Dr. Magnus Felix is a consultant urologist at Shiva Specialist Hospital and Urology Center Limited, Abuja. And he is here with us to get into the concluding aspect of a conversation we started last week, which had to do with sexual dysfunction. We didn't get into the solutions or the ways around it, so we'll start from there. But I just thought to share with Dr. Felix, maybe he can give us some insight into some information that I saw when it comes to women, right, and sexual dysfunction. It says 1 in 10 women have a diagnosable condition related to sexual dysfunction, and 43% of women report having sexual problems such as low desire, problems with arousal or orgasms, or pain with sexual activity, a lot of which Dr. Felix spoke about last week. But it says often these problems overlap. And 1 in 10 of these women report that they are distressed by the problem. But it is said that sexual dysfunction also affects women who survive cancer. More than half of women with breast cancer and 65 to 90% of women with gynecological cancers report long-term sexual dysfunction as a result of their cancer or cancer treatment. And this creates additional distress and reduced quality of life. So yes, like I said, Dr. Felix spoke to some of the problems that especially has to do with both men and women, but in women also. I wanted him to speak to some of these information that we're seeing here, because today we're supposed to be delving largely into how to get past the things that are triggering or causing sexual dysfunction. But when you see statistics of survivors, women survivors, who have had some of these diseases, is there any hope for them at all? So I'm going to hand the mic over to Dr. Felix and allow him to provide some insight for us. All right, Doc, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, just like you said, women who have had cancers, the cancer process or the disease itself, as well as the treatment, can actually, result in some form of sexual dysfunction. Remember, we said sexual dysfunction is any issue or problem that arises in any of the phases of the sexual response cycle,
yes,
that makes sexual activity not satisfactory or makes it not enjoyable. So it stands to reason that somebody who, has been diagnosed of cancer, may suffer some form of sexual dysfunction. Remember, we also said, let me just put some, some recapitulation, trying to remind us of what we discussed last time. We also said that sexual dysfunction could be psychological causes or physical causes. Physical causes are also known as organic, or what we say, there's an actual disease process. So it means the fact that somebody was told that now, all our investigations and evaluation, or all the tests we have done. Of course, when I say investigations and evaluation, I mean that tests. I mean that you went to see the doctor, they checked you, asked you some questions, examined you, took some samples, blood, urine tests and everything, and you're told that, you have a diagnosis. That means that you have cancer. First, that information is enough to affect your psychology. Nobody will receive that information with gladness. So already, the psychological causes of sexual dysfunction can begin to play out in such an individual.
Yeah.
Even before the disease process itself. The fact that you've been told, because whenever someone hears cancer, the first thing that comes to mind means, it means I'm dying very soon. Of course, even before they tell you, okay, the possible treatment options, you feel that why cancer? That means I don't have much time to spend on earth. So these are some of the issues. Then beyond that is the fact that, these cancers in themselves, is a disease. Causes, maybe such a person may have some abnormal swellings. If it's in the breast, abnormal swellings, abnormal wounds, or what we call ulcers, wounds, blood, maybe some discharge from the nipple, that may be bloody, discolored, not a normal thing anybody will be comfortable with, So those things in themselves means, sexual activity will not be enjoyable for such a person, because imagine the breast has abnormal swelling, has some wounds, blood is coming out from there, and we know that the breast is one of those accessory sex organs, meaning that it's part of what makes sex pleasurable. So if it's affected by a disease process, that already means, that activity of sexual intimacy will not be very, very enjoyable. Not to talk about the fact that that individual may be in pain, obvious pain.
Yeah.
The person may be stressed up, not comfortable, not able to eat properly because the appetite is not there, So I'm just saying that the disease process itself and all the things it comes with in itself can make you not to have even the desire for sex in the first place. Rather, you're trying to, be comfortable. You're trying to see how you can manage the pain. You're trying to see how you can manage your body image that has been distorted, that has been changed. Then now, you now talk about drugs for treating these cancers. I'm just trying to be a little fast to summarize so that we know. Maybe if time permits, we can go into more details, but just to give an overview of what we're talking about. Then imagine, okay, now this individual is started on some drugs. Generally the drugs for treating cancers are very powerful drugs. They are drugs that also causes some, problems to the body, what we call side effects or what we call adverse effects. One of them may be that the hairs on the head will start falling off. So meaning that you used to have a full hair, the hair now goes off, so that hair that usually makes you look beautiful is no longer there. So you no longer be so desirable. I want to talk about the fact that depending on where this disease, this cancer is affecting, if it's around the genital region, the genital for the woman, as the case may be, it may even cause some narrowing around the area, in which case the actual act of penetration may be difficult. So I'm saying that there are many things that cancer can do to the body,
right?
That can cause both psychological and physical causes of sexual dysfunction. So that's what we're saying. So indeed, saying that people who have cancers have sexual dysfunction is, a true statement.
Okay. I mean, the conversation went beyond there and talked about they've survived it. They've gone through the treatment and all that. They've survived it, but then it persists. But let's leave that for now. We will come back to that because at the end of the day, it's about educating people on how they can get help, or how they can get better, or how they can, heal? If you can possibly use that word, heal from a sexual dysfunction or I don't know, whatever the word is. So that's where we left off last week. We delved very much into the causes, the triggers, and all of that. So people who are experiencing this, let's start talking. How can they get help? Perhaps you can start with the men, and then we can take it from there. I know you spoke to certain points, the likes of erectile dysfunction and people who experience a pain, maybe arousal issues and all of that. So if you could just take it from there, how can they get past that and be able to have healthy sexual experiences, of course, with their partners?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, just like we said last time, and maybe we'll go a little further into that.
Okay.
I think it's good to start by still reminding us of some basic things. This sexual disorder or dysfunction in men, for instance, can actually arise from a disorder in desire. The person doesn't have desire. Okay, meaning what we call low libido. The interest for intimacy is not really there. And just like I said, sometimes, it may be due to the fact that the person may be stressed up. Mm-hmm. Okay, so usually what is done, such individuals should actually see us, because we don't just assume it's stress until when we have been able to run the investigations check. Because another thing that can cause it is when the testosterone level, the male hormone, is low, what we call low testosterone level. If it's very low, that can also affect desire. Because testosterone, which is the male hormone, that chemical substance in the blood that makes you feel like a man, that makes you, when you see a female, you are excited, you feel like, I think this person, is beautiful or something like that. That is called testosterone. Okay. So if it's low, it can also make you not feel like having much to do with sexual intimacy. So usually when you see people like us, as a urologist, when you come, because I've seen patients like that, I've had patients who, when they came, oh, doctor, I'm not really able to see myself, desire this thing. Even when my wife comes to me, I feel that she's troubling me because I don't feel like doing anything. So when we check, we see that some of them, their testosterone level is really very low. And in that case, of course, there's a place for giving some medications which will help to, boost that level of testosterone that is low. We check you properly to be sure, and we'll be able to give you those supportive medication. Of course, if there is none of such, then we can begin to think about the other things, maybe stress and other factors, in which case we can also offer you psychotherapy, where we can counsel you, talk to you. Sometimes we may have to invite both couple, the man and the woman, and talk to them at the same time. So that is one of the major things in terms of, what we call, disorder in desire, or desire, male sexual dysfunction that arises from a disorder in desire. Okay. Then when you go to the other stage where, the man maybe has desire, but he's not aroused. He's not able to have erection. He's not able to have erection. That's what we call weak erection. Some people will tell you that, doctor, man, I felt like I should do something. In fact, last night it was so distressing. In fact, I had a patient who, told me that, he struggled so much with the partner trying everything, sit on him, do all kinds of things, trying to manipulate his genitals to see if some erection can come. But it wasn't happening, but the desire was strong. But this desire was not translated into, an erection. In fact, to the extent that he felt like committing suicide, because he was like, is this the way life will be? Oh, wow. So usually, when this patient came to me, of course, the first thing is that, after asking some questions, examining the place to be sure there is no obvious any obvious change in shape or structure, then we'll run some tests. The test will help us to know why this erection is weak. In addition to running some blood tests where we'll check the person's sugar, because sometimes if the sugar in the blood, what we call, the person has high blood level of sugar, what we call diabetes mellitus, that can actually affect, the ability for a man to have erection. Also, if the blood pressure, what they call, most people commonly call it BP. If the blood pressure is high, what is called hypertension, that can also make some damages to the blood vessels that takes blood to the male organ, and that can affect erection. So we check all these things, even including the cholesterol in the body. Because some of those things, when cholesterol is high in the body, can actually affect, some of the blood supply to the male organ, and that can also make erection very difficult. So having checked all this, there's one of those tests we do, which sometimes you can't get that in most places, except you see a specialist, a urologist, the way, like when this patient came to me, of course, being a urologist, I was able to say, okay, now we've checked this thing, because sometimes you may check all these things and there's nothing wrong in any of the sugar, the blood pressure is normal, the cholesterol is fine, the heart is also fine, but the person doesn't have an an erection despite the fact that the desire is good. The person has good desire. Okay, in that case, we do what we call an artificial erection test. I call it an artificial erection test because that's the way to describe it for people to understand. But technically, we call it, a penile Doppler scan for erection, or we call it duplex scan.
Let's stick with the first one, doctor. Because yes, even that first one, I didn't understand it.
Oh, you didn't understand?
No.
Okay, let me explain.
When
we say artificial erection test, we mean that we take you into our lab. Okay. We inject you with a drug that stimulates you to have erection, meaning that it's no longer a natural erection. We are the one that will create the erection for you.
Okay.
So when we create it, we'll now use our machine, the ultrasound machine called a Doppler scan, to begin to, scan your organ to see whether the blood flow is normal. We check the speed of the blood flow. Then we also check how much of blood drains away from this male organ and the speed at which it drains. These things will give us an information as to why, the erection may be weak. For instance, for some persons, like the patient I had, or some of the patients I've had patients where, the blood flow was sluggish. Usually there are values we look out for. So if the value is not up to that, you know that the problem is that the blood flow is sluggish. So in that case, erection will not be very strong, even though it comes up. Or if the blood flow is even very, very sluggish, the erection may not even come up at all. Then for some persons, the blood flow is actually good. But the problem is that, the drainage of blood from the penis is so faster than necessary, so that the erection comes up, it doesn't last long, and it will just fall off.
Okay.
It's just like you're pouring water into a basket. That can, one of the things that makes a man to have erection is that blood enters the penis, stays there for a while until the man ejaculates or the man releases, or what we call coming. When the man comes, then blood flows out. But if there is any distortion in this, then you now have a case where the man has erection, then it falls off before even the man comes. And that can be very frustrating. So these artificial erection tests can give us information as to which of this is happening. Some people, which I've seen, also have had, both problems where the blood flow is sluggish and the drainage is very fast. So that is like two different problems at the same time. So, but all these things, whatever we find, we can treat.
I have a question to ask on this.
Yes.
I have a question to ask on this, Doc, because of course, any man experiencing this will be horribly, horribly frustrated. Problem now adds up when the woman in his life, say his wife or his girlfriend, if at all, they're in that kind of relationship, now does not understand what is going on with him at that point in time. And so some women, very scathing choice of words. They are frustrated, the man is frustrated, and how they choose to express their frustration sometimes can serve to hurt the man even more. So I have to ask, when treating cases like this, where it's a case of erection, is it arousal disorder? That's it, yes? Arousal disorder.
Yes.
Is it the same as erectile dysfunction? Let me be sure first and foremost.
Well, yes, arousal disorder, for a man, because arousal disorder can be for both men and women, but arousal disorder for a man is in form of erectile dysfunction, what we call weak erection.
Okay.
The man is not aroused, he can't have an erection because when a man is aroused, what happens is the erection comes up.
I understand. So my question to this was, sometimes when you're treating cases like this, do you also invite the woman? Because imagine that you're treating a case like this, and you've seen that it is a case of, something that you can actually treat. Do you now do psychotherapy in addition to the treatments you're doing? Because I can imagine the men who are going through this with women, if they're not wise or understanding, can even make it that treatment that you are doing will not work, because as you are doing that treatment, the psycho part of it, the woman is there just reminding him of how much of a man he's not because he can't get it up. I just needed to ask if you do that in addition to the treatments that you give, or it's just a one-way street.
Okay, no, actually, many times, these treatments are not done in isolation.
Okay.
If you also, based on your, evaluation, in which case, having taken the necessary history of this patient and maybe done the examination and asked all the questions, you think there's also a psychological aspect to this.
Then you do that
also
as well.
need to counsel the couple. You talk to the partner.
All
yes.
Right.
But many times it's always good as much as possible to tackle the physical cause. Like if there's
I need to go on a quick break. Sorry, just hold that thought. I need to go on a quick break.
Energy igniting, In the dark, we find our freedom, a world of our own, our playground, our canvas, where we can let ourselves go. Or cage the night with a bold, refreshing taste of Tiger Beer. Tiger Beer is not for sale to persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
Abuja, our mic is always on. That's why we give you the microphone to take your business to a higher level. Get your branding to a household name in Abuja and beyond. Call our sales executive, Tunde 080-999-30140. Aleji 080-9526-7141. Let's get your business on the radio and be heard.
Gold. Everyone wants it. That liquid gold. From the beer worthy of the name. Brewed for those who recognize true quality. From the first sip to the last, enjoyment flows. Goldberg, the gold standard.
Not for sale to persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
Abuja, our mic is always on. That's why we give you the microphone to take your business to a higher level. Get your branding to a household name in Abuja and beyond. Call our sales executive, Tunde 080-999-30140. Aleji 080-9526-7141. Let's get your business on the radio and be heard.
You don't ready to relax and enjoy? Make I introduce Teasers, your party when it reach time to relax and enjoy. Make you wake up your taste buds with every sip of Teasers. Whether you dey with friends after exercise, or be you just dey chill. Teasers na your party waiting better taste and rich goodness. Teasers dey gidigba for your enjoyment. Grab Teasers today and enjoy good times. Make you drink responsibly, oh. Teasers na for people wey don reach 18 years and above. Teasers, the fun no dey finish.
Abuja, our mic is always on. That's why we give you the microphone to take your business to a higher level. Get your branding to a household name in Abuja and beyond. Call our sales executive, John 080-999-30141. Joy 080-9597-5569. Let's get your business on the radio and be heard.
So, where is it happening today?
Nikki's place, of course.
Nikki's again?
Yes, now. There's music.
Okay.
There are snacks.
Okay.
And there are always chilled Star Radler.
Hey, now you're talking. You know how much I love my Star Rattler.
Refresh the moment with Star Radler. Available in citrus and red fruits. Drink responsibly.
Go Nikki, go Radler. Go Nikki, go Radler. Star Radler. Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18.
Abuja, our mic is always on. That's why we give you the microphone to take your business to a higher level. Get your branding to a household name in Abuja and beyond. Call our sales executive, Tunde 080-999-30140. Aleji 080-9526-7141. Let's get your business on the radio and be heard.
Gold. Everyone wants it. That liquid gold. From the beer worthy of the name. Brewed for those who recognize true quality. From the first sip to the last, enjoyment flows. Goldberg, the gold standard.
Not for sale to persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
Abuja, our mic is always on. That's why we give you the microphone to take your business to a higher level. Get your branding to a household name in Abuja and beyond. Call our sales executive, John, 080-999-30141. Joy, 080-9597-5569. Let's get your business on radio and be heard.
Got the vibe? We got the flavor. That zesty kick of lemon, the tropical burst of pineapple. That's right, we got the ginger jar.
Legend with a twist.
Introducing Legend Twist, a stout with a twist of flavors. Smooth, bold, with a refreshing taste in every sip. So from one legend to another, now with a twist. Enjoy.
Introducing Legend Twist flavored stout. Not suitable for persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly. Legend with a twist.
Abuja, our mic is always on. That's why we give you the microphone to take your business to a higher level. Get your branding to a household name in Abuja and beyond. Call our sales executive, John, 080-999-30141. Joy, 080-9597-5569. Let's get your business on radio and be heard.
There are those who live uncaged, who rise when the night falls. Fire burning brighter, energy igniting. In the dark, we find our freedom, a world of our own, our playground, our canvas, where we can let ourselves go. Uncage the night with a bold, refreshing taste of Tiger Beer. Tiger Beer is not for sale to persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
All right, welcome back, and thank you for staying with us on 95.1 Nigeria Info. We are back on the conversation, and we are keeping it going as it is hot, so to speak. My name is Somi, and Dr. Felix Magnus is here with me, our consultant urologist, and we are trying to wrap up the conversation around sexual dysfunction as much as we can do that today. So let's get back into it. Dr. Felix was addressing something. Forgive me for cutting off your thoughts there at the last minute. You can go ahead and wrap it up, and then we'll look at the messages that people are sending in. And yes, we are streaming live. You want to go to Facebook and YouTube to jump in on the conversation as well. It's Nigeria Info Abuja on Facebook and Nigeria Info Abuja on YouTube. Go there, send in your messages, send in any questions you might have, and then we'll take them. I already see one on Facebook, but let's let Dr. Felix wrap it up before we get to the questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So just like we're saying, usually when we do that test, what we call the artificial, erection test.
Mm-hmm.
When I say artificial erection test, for those who may not understand, we're saying that we will be the one to create or make your penis to stand. To stand. Erection means the penis is standing, just like what happens when a man wants to engage in sexual intimacy. The penis has to stand from the resting position. So we will give you a drug ourselves, usually an injection, and in the process, it is expected that your penis will stand. And when the penis stands, we use a special machine called the Doppler ultrasound. It's a special machine that helps us to be able to scan the penis and check and monitor the blood flow. How blood is entering inside, whether it's sluggish, whether it's fast, whether it's, even though it's fast, is it as fast as what we expect? At the same time, we also monitor how much of blood is leaving the penis and how fast it's leaving. and if it's leaving at the appropriate time or leaving before the time. Because for some persons, why their erection or why their penis doesn't stand properly is because the blood does not flow fast into the penis. It is so sluggish, it's so slow.
Okay.
So that means, they won't have a very strong erection. When I say erection, I mean the penis standing. Yes, I'm just trying to make it clear for everybody. Okay, so usually some persons may also have a case where, yes, the blood flows properly into this penis. The penis is able to stand, but it doesn't stay long. Sometimes some will tell you that as they are trying to engage in the process, as they're trying to, penetrate or, engage in the act, something falls off. And that is very frustrating. I mean, you've been playing, you've been trying to do something, and before you could even do what you need to do, something is already weak. It's already lying and resting when you're not yet willing to rest. So that can be quite frustrating. And that may be because the flow of blood out of the penis is too fast.
Okay.
And if it's too fast, of course, that means blood will not be there to sustain it. Because what makes the penis to stand is that when blood enters, it stays there for a while until when the man comes, then the blood will flow away. So, but if anything happens to that process, it can make it to fall faster. So some persons also have a situation where both the blood flow into this organ as well as the drainage is very fast. In which case it doesn't go in properly, and the little that has gone in comes out very fast, like pouring water into a basket. So in that case, they won't also have very good form of erection. They'll be complaining of weak erection. So any of these things, based on what we see, there are different treatments. Some treatment may be in the form of giving you some tablets which you will take. Some people, I've heard about Viagra. Some of them may require taking Viagra, but not all. Because in fact, there are cases where I've seen patients who, they didn't even know exactly what the problem was because they didn't come to see a specialist. They didn't come to see us before they started taking medications on them. They just went and started buying drugs themselves. And that is where the problem started, because you can start taking some of these drugs and it will even cause more harm in terms of maybe initially you have some good response, in which case you're doing well, but all of a sudden everything now becomes so weak even when you take the same drug. So it's always good to know exactly what the problem is before you start treatment.
So see a urologist, or can they just walk into the hospital and see a general practitioner, for example?
No. Just like I said, see us. See us means that see me, a urologist.
Okay.
Yes, a urologist, So you need to see a urologist, not just every person that can attend to you.
Okay.
Just like I even said, these tests we do, it's not everybody that can do them. So you have to see a urologist to be able to get the best and also know what the problem is, at what stage the problem is.
Okay.
And based on that, the appropriate drug will be given to you, whether it's tablet, whether it's injection. There are even cases where we need to give you some devices. There's what we call, just the same way you can pump a tire. The tire of a vehicle, of a car, of a motorcycle. There are also penis pump. There are pumps we used to pump the penis to help the man have strong erection, meaning that the penis can stand after using the pump. So there are things like that. There are also
I need to be clear. Sorry, don't rush that part. That part, very instrumental. So when you talk about the pump, is it that they use it at the point where they're about to engage in sexual activity, or it is a medication or some kind of thing that you administer at the hospital that helps them to have an erection whenever the need arises? How exactly does this pump function, or when does it function?
Okay, that's a good question. Yes, sometimes trying to, summarize makes us to run over things. But it's good you're bringing me back. Yes, the pump actually is something that, when we give it to the patient, first we teach this person how to use it, because it is meant to be used at the time when the person is ready to make the penis stand.
Okay.
Mean that you want to engage in sexual activity, that is when you pump the penis, because nobody walks around, or rather it is not advisable that people just walk around with an erect penis. People don't just move around. It's only when they are ready to have
that's some form of
their penis should be.
Or that's some form of dysfunction in itself. There are people that,
of course,
that do that. or that have that?
Well, if they have that, that's a different thing altogether. And in fact, nobody can sustain it for too long because that will become painful. I mean, when the penis is too, standing for too long, the penis gets tired too and begins to complain in form of pain.
Okay.
So that is also a problem of its own.
Okay.
But that's a different thing which we may not need to go into right now. Okay. So, but just like I was saying, it's meant to be used a pump. The penis pump is meant to be used at the time when the person wants to have sex. So, meaning that we'll teach the person how to use it. The person goes on with it, and whenever the person is ready to engage in sex, either the person or the sexual partner can help, pump the penis, and the penis will now stand.
Okay.
And erection can now, be achieved, and the person can have sex. And after sex, then you can now deflate, or rather empty the penis again.
Okay.
So beyond that, there are even cases where we can introduce artificial, limbs, what we call artificial bodies, to help support the penis.
This point is very important. Just let me attend to a few questions, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so that we don't lose you, or we don't lose that train of thought. Okay, so Dr. Felix has been speaking on a number of things, and it's important that we stay on track. It's important that we keep in touch. But I was trying to see perhaps he can attend to a few questions, and then we'll come back to those things. There's also an element of sexual dysfunction that men have. Remember, we're taking it men first, then women. There's also an element of sexual dysfunction that men have that he hasn't touched on yet. So far, he's dealt with desire disorder, arousal disorder, and we are at arousal disorder is where we've been dwelling largely on, but we also need to look at one other disorder, and that is the orgasm disorder. So he's going to take us on that and give us and give us solutions so that, or how one can treat that as well, apart from the arousal, desire and arousal that we've been dwelling on. But I want us to take a few questions, Doc, before we move on to that one very quickly. So let's see these messages here. I have one on Facebook. Interesting conversation, really, but I mean, it's a question. It came in, so let's take it. It says, "Good evening, Somi and Doctor. People keep having this argument that wet dreams after puberty could be attributed to spiritual wife. I keep telling them it's not true and spare parlor talk. Even the so-called learned people, please help correct this thought. Secondly, on a personal level, I notice that if I haven't ejaculated for a long time, it builds up to my nipples. And once I do that, my nipples decrease as a man. What's the cause?" Okay. Let's take that one first, and then we'll come back to the other questions. Doctor, do you want to respond to that, or should I take the other questions first?
Okay, maybe we should respond.
Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe we should respond so I don't lose track of events. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so just like he was saying, well, we initially started this conversation of sexual dysfunction or problems that, happens during sexual activity.
Yeah.
Okay, we started by talking about myths and facts.
Yes.
Meaning that there are certain things people say that are not true, but they are facts. People may say or don't say which are true. I will try to clarify the air. Yes, talking about wet dreams, just like we said, wet dreams is one of those natural events that happens, as somebody grows into puberty. Meaning that, that initial part of development where somebody begins to achieve the ability to produce sperm and other things, sometimes, as a person is asleep, a lot of, sperm can accumulate. And one of the ways the body, releases it is in form of wet dreams. It just comes out on its own. It's not necessarily because of anything spiritual. Of course, I mean, we don't talk about spiritual things in medicine. I mean, we talk about physical things. We're not unaware that, there are also spiritual things that can be responsible for certain physical events. So saying that is it spiritual, of course, that's a myth, because physiologically or medically, we know wet dream is normal as somebody develops into puberty. Yeah, so if there's a spiritual undertone making it to happen, we can't justify that or explain that. Considering what we're discussing at this time.
Okay. I mean, I want to push it a little bit further, but perhaps I should leave it so that we'll get to the other part. Let's get to the second part. He talked about the fact that if he doesn't come after a while, he feels it in his nipples. How did he say it happens again? He feels it in his nipples, and then after that, he notices a decrease. Yes. He says, if I haven't ejaculated in a long time, it builds up to my nipples. And once I do, my nipples decrease as a man. So that means, let's hear, if I'm hearing this correctly, his nipples become engorged. I don't know with what.
Yes, that's what he's saying. Yeah.
Could it be possible?
Yes, that's very important. Well, that's another thing that...
Because I'm wondering what could possibly engorge his nipples.
Yeah, of course, just like we were saying, yeah, possibly, there may not be a direct relationship. However, maybe because just like you say, he's not had any form of sex for a while. So maybe, but I'm sure during those periods, he must have exposed himself to things that would have stimulated him, and made him, excited or have desires or even aroused. But of course, so there must have been some, build up of, hormones, testosterone surges and every other thing. So maybe that's why he may be experiencing that. But I don't think that is a general thing for most persons. Sometimes there are peculiarities. So possibly what he notices may just be because of maybe repeated stimulations and other forms of hormone surges. Possibly, that's the explanation we could give to that.
Okay.
But it may not be a direct relationship that whenever he has sex, it comes down. Yeah, it may just be the fact that whenever.
No, what he said is when he hasn't experienced an orgasm in a long time, that's when that happens. But once he does, it goes back to normal.
Comes down.
Yes.
So just like I said, so hormone surges possibly.
Okay.
So after sex, the hormones will now be low.
Okay.
Because one of the things that happens is that, at the point of excitement, testosterone and all those hormones are increased.
Okay.
In the blood. Those chemical substances we talked about, the male hormone called testosterone, all those things are increased.
Okay.
So possibly those may account for all the experiences of the engorgement or whatever he experiences. Then by the time he releases or comes, he will no longer be in that excited state. So his body generally will also return back to
makes sense.
The less excited, yeah. So most likely that's what he has been experiencing.
All right, makes sense. I hope that answers your question, you who sent that in. I have another one here. Godwin Sani from Lugbe Airport Road says, good evening, Somi and the doc. What is the cause of quick ejaculation and what's the natural remedy?
Okay, that's very important. Yes, we were going to discuss that, at the point of talking about, you were saying that we'll go to orgasm disorder. Is it not?
Yes.
Yeah, it's part of the orgasm disorder. Yeah, because, during orgasm, that's where a man ejaculates, or what they call the man comes. So if a man comes before the time he desires, to such an extent, it causes, dissatisfaction, distress, and also partner, mean that the partner or the sexual partner is also not happy. That already is called a quick ejaculation. We technically call it premature ejaculation, but of course, it's easier to understand by saying quick ejaculation, meaning that you ejaculated quickly before the time, because that is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's one of the disorders, and many times there are a lot of causes, just like we said. Some of them could be psychological, meaning that, sometimes because you have anxiety. Anxiety means that maybe because you are with somebody who you're anxious about making sure you impress this person. Yeah, so as soon as you start, you are so quick, and before you know what's happening, all the things in your bodies are already coming out, and that can be quite, so that can cause some form of quick ejaculation because you're not in control, so to say. Yes, so sometimes, because of that anxiety, it can make you have quick ejaculation. Also, the fact that maybe if you're very tired, because if the man is very tired, one of the ways the man, expresses that is by, ejaculating quickly or releasing or coming quickly during sex so that you can rest. I don't know if you're getting. So that can also cause that. But there are also other physical causes, what we call disease causes, meaning that somebody having some diseases in their body can also make the person to have quick ejaculation. And these are the reasons why when you come to see us, like see me as a urologist, we will also run the necessary tests to find out what could be causing this quick ejaculation. And by that, we can now treat. Sometimes the treatment may involve counseling you alone, teaching you some techniques. Sometimes it may also involve we giving you some specific drugs, because they are drugs. They're actually drugs, to help correct the problem in your body that is making you to have this quick ejaculation. So I think for this person, you should make your way and come and see us. Let's see you and, be able to, because whatever it is, we can find out the cause and treat according to what it is. And usually you'll be fine. We've had quite a number of people who we've been able to, just like I always tell patients, I'll tell my patients once they come to me that if you're well motivated, meaning that if you're willing to allow us help you, then you're entitled to a quality sex life. Just like I even was mentioning before, the break, I said that even there are cases where somebody who has lost hope of having any form of erection, we can even surgically put in artificial bodies. Mean that we can put in some, artificial structures to help support the penis, to be able to do the necessary functions. So mean that there are a lot of things that can be done. So people should not just die in silence. It's something that you just need to walk up to urologists, come and see us, then we can take it from there. If it's psychological, we address it. If it's due to a disease, we can also correct and treat appropriately. So that's just the summary.
Anything can be treated as long as, you can treat it as long as it's not spiritual, yes? Because you don't acknowledge the spiritual ones.
Medically, we don't treat spiritual things. Yes, I remember one of those days in one of my, when I was in one of those, in one of those places where I was concerned, a patient walked up to me and was telling me that for him, he doesn't have any problem, but his problem with his penis is not standing up properly is that whenever his penis is standing up and he tries to bring it out of his, underwears to engage in sexual activity, an evil spirit comes and perches on it and something will fall off. So, it sounded quite funny, but so we now said, okay, if that's the case, that he suspects that an evil spirit comes to perch on it, then he has to find a way to chase away this evil spirit, because in medicine, we don't have drugs to chase away evil spirits. I don't know if you're getting, so I'm not saying that we don't treat spiritual things in medicine, but of course, that person should see, if you suspect it's spiritual, you may see your pastor, or if you're a Christian, or your spiritual leader. Because you can never tell. Life also is quite spiritual sometimes. But in medicine, we address what we can see, what we can explain, what we can logically, discuss.
Okay.
Thank you. All
right. I have a take on the whole quick ejaculation thing, and then I also see a comment here. Daniel from AY has sent in a number of things that he needs clarification on. One of them will be the whole issue about after the first ejaculation, after the quick or the early ejaculation or the premature ejaculation in a man, how long will it take before a man gets aroused again? He has other things we want to clarify, and time will allow us to do that after the break. But I just wanted to address this thing quickly. Is it a myth or a fact? Because some men have said, and we've seen and we've read, where they say, oh, don't worry, once I get the first ejaculation out of the way, then I will now take my time, and then the next one, it will be a banger. It's like they say that early ejaculation thing, it's a normal thing. It just happens with them, and then after that, they will now take their time and get a proper, arousal going again, and then they'll be able to satisfy their women sexually. Quick one, because we need to go on the break. Is that a myth or is it a fact?
Okay, well, it's a fact that usually the first sexual round tends to be shorter and faster compared to the second. And those things are hormonally mediated. Just like I said, the hormones will be high, so the tendency to discharge faster is higher. But after you've done the first round, the tendency is that the hormones will not be so high, so you can actually be in better control of many things.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, for most men, it's been proven that they tend to stay longer in the second round compared to the first round. I mean, in terms of for those who go multiple rounds.
Okay.
Yes, and that is also some of the things we utilize in treating patients sometimes. Yeah.
But the second angle of his question was, how long will it take for a man to get aroused again after the first ejaculation? Can you answer that in 9 seconds, or should we go on the break?
Yes. Of course, it is not specific for anybody. It varies depending on your own make.
Okay.
Yes, some persons may never get aroused. Some people will. Yeah.
Wow. After the first one. Okay. We'll come back to that. It's still Body and Soul on sexual dysfunction with Dr. Felix Magnus, and we'll be right back.
So, where is it happening today? Nikki's place, of course.
Nikki's again.
Connection established.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
All right, we are back, and Felix Magnus, our consultant urologist, is in the house, and we have been dwelling largely on what to do when you're experiencing sexual dysfunction as a man. We've talked a lot about some of the disorders that are, what they call it now, that indicate that there's a sexual disorder, right? So we started with the desire disorder, which he has addressed. We talked about arousal disorder. And somehow we found ourselves, by virtue of the questions that are coming in, dealing with situations around orgasm disorder or ejaculation disorder. So Dr. Felix is still with us, and we were about to take on one last comment before we come back to the conversation, or two. There are actually three here. God help us with the time we have left. But let's see. Daniel from AYA, I hope Dr. Felix has been able to answer your question about how long it takes for a man to get aroused again after the first come. He says, there's no specific time. It depends on the person in question. Let me quickly raise the other concerns he talked about. He says, in a normal, healthy sexual timing, if there's any such thing, Daniel. He says, how long does a man need to last during sex? And the second question, does a bitter liquid substance reduce the level of sugar in the blood? Those were the other two questions Daniel had, in addition to how long will a man get aroused again after the first ejaculation. So over to you, Dr. Felix.
Yeah, all right, thank you very much. I think we've already answered the fact that there's no specific timing that somebody will last after the first round of sex to come back for a second round. Even some persons may not have a second round until after a day. Some persons in 30 minutes. I mean, it varies from individual to individual, depends on your makeup and so many other factors. Okay, then in terms of, is there a natural, or what you call, if I can declare, a normal duration of sex for people, right?
For a man.
For a man,
yes.
For a man, mean that, is there something that will be said is too short or too long? Something like that. Yes. Of course, yeah, there are several, studies. Studies means, people have actually looked into these things. Yes. And averagely, most people who have looked into this thing will say that most sex will last between 3 to 8 minutes. 3 to 8 minutes. Most people would have been done.
And that's considered healthy.
Yes, healthy. So, of course, some persons will stay beyond that, but that will be with some modifications, some techniques and other things. Maybe, the person trying to ensure that the person prolongs the experience or the sensation or the incitement. Or for those who, don't last up to 3 minutes, many times it may suggest a problem. Either they have, quick ejaculation, quick coming, meaning that they come quickly, just like what we're trying to answer just before we went for the break. Yes, but usually for most people, 3 to 8 minutes, and averagely 4 to 5 minutes. I mean, like in that 3 to 8 minutes, most people by 4 to 5 minutes, they would have already come, except there are reasons why they had to prolong that. Yes, that's okay. The average length, so to say.
And this is specifically for men, or does this time also apply for women? Yes.
No, for men. For men, yes, because for women, sex in women is not exactly the way it is for men. First, for a woman, just like we said before, sex more or less is a woman. For a man, okay, let me start with the man, maybe it will be easier for us to understand. For a man, when the man reaches orgasm means that's phase where the man has intense joy, excitement. You feel like, oh, the whole world is mine, so to say. You can, in fact, if they give you the whole world, that is what you actually desire, so to say, that intense pleasure, and usually for most men at that time, they will also come. So usually after they come in, for most people, they will undergo a phase called resolution phase, in which case the penis will begin to come to the resting position. It will no longer remain standing. Yes. So usually you now say that sex round has ended. That's the way it is for a man. But in a woman, it's not exactly the same. A woman can get to that point where she has intense pleasure, she has achieved orgasms. But a woman many times can have multiple orgasms, meaning that it's not just one. A woman can have a second one, a third one, and even sometimes, even after orgasm, a woman more or less can, just keep, reminiscing the moment, so to say, what we call they reach a plateau phase. A plateau phase means that it's just like they go to a plane. They don't really come down immediately like men. They don't really have that thing like, they don't have that organ that will just say, okay, it's falling down. Like in a man, the penis will come down.
Okay.
But the woman doesn't really have such that, so in that case, we can't say for women there's any specific duration per se. So durations we discuss are more or less for men.
Okay.
Because of the fact that for a man, after that orgasm where the man has the intense pleasure, usually is followed by coming and the man will come to a rest. Even if the man needs to go back for another round, it will be like another round starting all over. Desire, excitement, arousal, and yes.
Okay. So your question hopefully is being answered. Normal, healthy sexual timing for men, Doc says, is between 3 to 8 minutes, of which between the 4th to 5th minute, you're already approaching the peak, all right? And then the last question he asked is, does a bitter liquid substance reduce the level of sugar in the blood?
Well, a bitter liquid substance does not necessarily reduce the level of sugar in the blood because, the only thing is that a bitter liquid substance is bitter, but it may also contain even sugar.
Wow.
Not everything. Certain things that are not sweet contain sugar because what the body calls sugar is not exactly what, the mouth tastes as sweet.
Okay.
What the body calls sugar is anything that can produce energy, in quotes, in the body. So a lot of foods we eat will eventually end up as sugar in the body.
Okay.
So saying a bitter liquid substance, does it reduce the level of sugar in the blood? It's not. It doesn't reduce the level of sugar in the blood. It's just that you're taking a bitter liquid substance. That's just what it is. If you want to reduce the level of sugar in the blood, there are specific drugs for that.
Okay.
Those drugs are what is known to reduce the level of sugar.
Okay.
But there's no specific food or any other thing or liquid that necessarily reduces, except the liquid in itself contains one of these drugs in itself. That's what we're saying. Yes.
All right. Thank you for clearing that up. So for people who tend to do the herbal mixtures, the bitter ones that are said to reduce the sugars, you've gotten clarification. All the people who take what they call bitters, all the kinds of bitters, if you're doing it to reduce your blood sugar, you need to check again. Alu, good luck, Ayuba, with a message. Okay, this question rather, we've answered it. Someone else asked it, but we've answered it. He was talking about how long can a man stay before going for the second after the first round. It depends on your body. Let's move on to another question. This one says, okay, this one is asking for your contact. Something about how an adult can get circumcised. If you want to take on that, doctor, you let me know. We'll share your information. This one says, good evening, Somi and the doctor. What do you think of taking Viagra and how does it work? I'm a man, 35, struggling to stop masturbation. Sir, you want to stop masturbation and you're thinking of taking Viagra? Doctor, please, can you educate him?
Yeah, very important. Yes, I think he needs to be educated because the two are actually not adding up. I mean, stopping masturbation, taking Viagra, they don't add up because first, why do you masturbate? Do you have a sexual partner? Are you married? That's the first thing. Okay. The other thing is that, masturbation, just like we said, over time can, affect your perception or your perspective of sex in itself, because masturbation is not the natural way that people engage in sexual intercourse. For instance, if you want to engage in sexual intimacy, your partner needs to be ready to. You need to be able to, make your partner to desire you, get aroused, maybe play with the partner. Eventually, you can now start the sexual activity itself. But for masturbation, you don't need all those things. It's just you stimulating yourself, depending on the kind of masturbation you're also talking about, because there are different kinds of masturbation, so to say. But I'm saying that, so over time, it may make you feel like, you may have some anxieties when you now want to start having sex, because you feel that everybody should just respond to you immediately, just the way you just masturbate. You won't know that there's also the place for you, giving room for your partner to also be ready, and willing to also engage in the same activity with you. That's the problem with masturbation over time, of course. But in itself, just like I said, medically, it is considered not to be, it's considered to be a healthy habit, in quote, medically, but when it's chronic, of course, I've seen patients who their problems are that they've masturbated chronically, and that is why they are having challenges even in their sexual relations. Okay, so taking Viagra, is more or less for somebody who has a problem with sex. Just like we said, maybe you can't have erection, or you can't have your penis stand up despite the fact that, you have desire. Yes, Viagra can be given to you. It's one of the drugs that can be given to you after we have checked you, done all the tests, and seen that, based on the tests and everything, what you need is a Viagra to help support that ability for you to make your penis to stand, what we call erection. Yes, so Viagra is basically given for those who we have seen, or we have, diagnosed, and we've checked and seen that they have a problem having erection. So if you're masturbating, are you saying that you're not having erection? That's why you're masturbating? Because if you're not having erection, yes, Viagra may help. But masturbation in itself,
is indicative of the fact that you have an erection. And so you taking Viagra will only make matters worse.
Yes, it may even make you masturbate more, because first, Viagra will make you have erection. It may even make the erection stronger. It also even make you sometimes you can even desire to go multiple times. I'm saying that. So all these things, so it means that even Viagra may make your masturbation worse if you really want to stop it. So I think the first thing that this person should actually, come and see. You can come and see me. You can see a urologist. You can come and see me. And we can help you.
Okay. All right. I have to pause here on the questions because we have just under 10 minutes and we need to wrap up on the conversation for today. Clearly, sexual dysfunction is going to continue next week because we've dealt largely with how you can address it or treat it if you are a man, but not a lot for women. So apparently we go again next week, Thursday. But if you could just give us your concluding thoughts on the aspect for the men. So like I said, by virtue of some of the questions that have come in, we have dealt with some, I think the last disorder when it comes to sexual dysfunction in men, which is ejaculation disorder or orgasm disorder. Do you want to give a concluding thoughts on that one? And then we'll pick up the conversation again next week.
Okay, that was fine. Thank you very much. Let me just briefly summarize some of the things I've said. For want of time, may not be able to go into details. So sometimes, like I say, come see a urologist, come see me. We can help you better. Many times, most of the things we do is to educate our patient, educate them, because one of the reasons why people even have some of the problems they have with sex is that they don't have the right information. They don't even know what they should know about this sex and the various things that can happen during sex. So because of that, they struggle. So if you come, we discuss with you, we also evaluate you, do some tests to check and know where the problems are. Talking about, ejaculation, just like we said, premature ejaculation or what they call quick ejaculation is a problem. There are also cases where some people have no ejaculation at all. They don't even come at all, what we call an ejaculation. They finish, but nothing comes out.
Oh, wow.
That is also a problem. Yes.
I've never heard of that before.
Yes, but it's a very serious disorder. In fact, sometimes it can be very distressing. Why? Because in that case, you may not be able to, achieve pregnancy. Of course, we'll talk about that more in, reproductive health when we start discussing reproductive health, because that can affect reproductive capacity. You're done, you feel so excited, intense pleasure, orgasm happens, you feel like all the things has come out, but nothing came out, an ejaculation. You can also have what we call retrograde ejaculation, in which case, instead of something coming out, it will first go into your bladder where urine is stored. Then later it will come out in your urine. So mean at the time of having sex, it doesn't come out. Yeah, so these are all the things. Then it's also what we call delayed. It can be delayed so that you just want this thing to end, but it's not ending because, it's not coming out. So you keep feeling like, you're still going, but you're not having that intense satisfaction that comes with orgasms so that you can now come. So what we call delayed ejaculation. So there are many things, there are many aspects that we cannot really, say because of time and all the, but it's something that when you come, we can actually take you through all these things. Not to talk about the fact that even some persons after sex, they have what we call post-orgasmic illness syndrome. They begin to feel like they are sick. Meaning that after sex, you should be happy, you should be, feel like something good has happened to you, you'll be rested, tension has released. But some persons, that's not the case. They begin to have body pains, feeling like they are having malaria and all kinds of things. So that even makes them, they want to avoid sex.
Oh, wow.
It's also a disorder. But
like it's a recurring thing with people like this, every time?
Yeah, recurring thing. Yeah, recurring thing. Usually we don't say it's a problem until it's recurring. Because once in a while, some of these things can happen. But when it's recurring, meaning that it's recurrent and it's persistent, then it becomes a disorder.
Okay.
Yes, there are people who have these things each time. I remember one of, a patient I had. It was even a colleague. It was even a doctor. In fact, it was even the wife that had to bring me into the picture before the colleague eventually opened up. He was struggling because he was having delayed ejaculation. The wife will be tired and begging him, please now, I'm tired, let's round up. But the man is not able to round up because, there's delay. So he was really stressing everybody. But we were able to take him through, and now he's fine. So what I'm saying is that there are a lot of things that can be done. But what I always tell patients when they come to me is that you're entitled to a quality sex life if only you're well motivated to go through the process with us. Yes, erection is guaranteed. Because at most you can have an artificial bodies implanted into your penis that will give you an erection, so that once you switch it on, it remains there until you're done. So we're saying that many things that can be done. Yes.
On the pump.
Thank you very much.
Forgive me, I'm stuck on the pump. I'm stuck on the pump. I'm so stuck on the pump that someone said to me, you're under arrest. Why is that part very instrumental? Thank you so much. You who sent that message. I'm trying to see your name. Okay, I can't find your... Okay, I know who it is. Okay, but thank you for your message. I appreciate you. Ladies, our women who are listening, I promise you, next week will be all about you. We spent time today dealing with that of the men. And honestly, between the doc and I, we thought we were going to be completely done with anything sexual dysfunction today. But here it is. It's apparently a very, very broad conversation, and see me hearing things that are coming towards the tail end of the conversation, delayed, the one that goes into that comes out with your urine. And I'm like, so time will not allow us to get into all of the conversation, but just know that if you need to get a consultation, you can always reach out to a urologist. And if you don't know any, you have Dr. Felix Magnus. Someone is here also asking for your... He says, my problem is quite complicated. I'd like to meet the doctor on a personal level. I am 74. I still feel young, but a lot is wrong with me sexually. So, doctor, as you approve, we hand out your information to people who are reaching out personally via the WhatsApp line. If you need to reach Dr. Magnus, just send a message on the WhatsApp line, and as he approves, we'll hand you over to him. 74. And he says he still feels young. I can imagine. But but we have to bring the conversation to a close. Again, for the ladies, I promise next week, Thursday, we're going to attend to everything sexual dysfunction related as far as the women are concerned. Dr. Magnus, I like to look for your trouble with this question. Are we going to see props next week?
Yes, I'm working on that. But you see that sometimes we are so constrained with time. So
I know.
But in fact, sexual dysfunction and anything that has to do with sex is a very broad area of discussion that you don't actually exhaust.
I understand.
It's something that we can just keep talking continuously. In fact, by the time we go into props, I'm sure we won't come out of that. Because people will want to ask more questions. In fact, we will begin to discuss a different, aspect of specialization.
together,
anatomy and all kinds of things. I'm sure the questions will even increase. But let's see how it goes.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. As short as the time seems, we have been conversing for about an hour and 20 minutes. We need to wrap it up here. So thank you so much, Dr. Felix, and looking forward to having you on again next week. Now my phone lines are buzzing. I told people to ask your questions. I don't know, Dr. Felix, do you want to take on more questions?
Well, how much time do we still have so that we will know?
I can push it for maybe.
Or maybe they can send the question, or just like I said, you give them my contacts. We can always,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, the stream is definitely ending right now. So we're going to let Dr. Felix go. I will still take your phone calls, and then I will forward them to Dr. Felix. If there are things that he needs to address when he's back on there next week, we'll do it that way. Or if you just want to reach him personally, you let me know via the WhatsApp line, and then we'll do that. But thank you, Dr. Felix, for today.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
see
you. I
you
appreciate you.
next week.
Thank you.
Let me let you go. I need to shout out to your wife, honestly, and correct me if I'm wrong. Vivian Azuka Magnus. Is that your wife?
That's true.
Is that your wife? Madam, shout out to you.
Correct.
Madam, shout out to you. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Mrs. Magnus is on Facebook. She's on the stream. She's making sure that people see that that's her husband, and you are, you're engaging or you're participating. Just please give her my regards, and thank you, Mrs. Magnus, for allowing us keep your husband till this time. We're releasing him now.
Thank you for releasing me.
All right, then. Have a good night,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Magnus.
Yeah, thank you. Good night.
Okay.
Good night.
All right, like I said, I can still take your calls if you want me to still take on your questions, concerns, whatever it might be, and then you let me know how I can bring Dr. Magnus in on the conversation. So I'm just going to leave the phone lines open for the next 3 minutes, and then that will be it for Body and Soul today. Again, if what you want is to reach out to the doctor, send me a message on WhatsApp so I can pass the information along. Hello?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How work, sir?
Who is Sir? Who are you talking to, please? I need to be sure you are calling the right station. My name is Somi. Now, woman I be.
Yes. Yes.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the right place. I think that is radio station, have you?
You're calling the radio station, yes. But this is Somi, and Somi is a woman. Is it because of my guest? My guest is a man, but he's gone off, but I can take your questions.
It's because of the voice, the example, a man.
Wow.
That is why.
It's okay. No wahala.
I'm sorry for that.
No problem. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Solomon. I'm calling from Zulu.
Okay.
It's about of the evaluation, this thing. That I am hearing this program. Then that is why I say that there is a question that I want to ask the
Go ahead.
doctor.
Go ahead and ask your question.
I am I am 14 now.
You're what?
I am 14 years now.
As in 1 and 4, or 4 and 0?
No, 4 and 0.
Okay, go ahead then.
Then the about of the ejaculation. When I wanted to have a sex with a woman like this, then immediately that I just pull up and I just want started work. Then I will now just release. The thing always happens to me. I'm always very ashamed of myself about of the thing. I don't know what can I do with it.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your question. I believe we addressed it already. But let me take this other call and then we'll come back and you hear what the doctor had said about that, okay? Hello? Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, welcome.
Yeah, Magnus from Niger State.
Good night.
Okay, you are too fast. That is just the problem. You are eager to go there.
That is really?
And this will be, including me, people are not advanced. When the pocket is dry, you don't have any to live. You understand? I don't know.
That's part of it, eh? I'm asking.
So I thought there's something wrong. When the market is dry, people are, if you like, do whatever you want to do. We don't have to have things at all.
All right, thank you, Donatus. I need to take a break.
We got the ginger, John.
Legend with a twist.
Introducing Legend Twist, a stout with a twist of flavors. Smooth, bold, with a refreshing taste.
This is Nigeria Info.